Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Cowboys podcast. As always, my name is Alex, and you are joining me for another half hour. It's a free consultation for you to just kick back and listen, because, this question isn't coming from you, right? If you want personalized consult, if you want a personalized consultation, by all means, reach out to us. Find us on Instagram. Shoot us a DM. We can set something up offline. Not in person, but it'll be off of social media at least. That's at Corporate Cowboys with a Z. The Patreon is also active. There are multiple tiers where you can also send us personal messages in some of those tiers. Provide a level of exclusivity for you. That's the Corporate Cowboys podcast. And if you want to just shoot us a donation, support the podcast, keep it free for others to listen to, because as long as we're kicking and as long as business is business, as long as it's business as usual, you'll have us. So, this also helps me think through specific scenarios and situations that I can also practice how I would address a potential client, right? So I'll be walking you through a mental blueprint of sorts. Sometimes expressly, sometimes I'll be actually thinking out loud, and other times you'll have to infer that by yourself. But, a lot of those inferences I will pull from the facts that are available to us and made available by the hypothetical client, right? Before I go off asking them questions. If I would be asking them questions in an interview. Today's question, it's coming from r/career guidance. And they've flared it for advice, right? So this is a Reddit thread that they've flared for advice, meaning they want some input. They would like a little perspective. And I hope that as a corporate cowboy, the perspective I give is enough to motivate you, the listener, to think proactively, right? Not to think reactively. The title of this is asking, am I asking too much of a raise? Am I asking for too much of a raise? That's it. It's a short title, short and sweet, and I think just off rip, it depends. Really, it does depend. I know that's such a simplistic legal answer, right? It depends. That's what we learned in law school. But really, if you think you're asking for too much, you might be, right? You might be. There's always the possibility that you might be, but you can remedy that personally by researching the position that you are interviewing or applying for and evaluating your personal skills and see what kind of a fit your skills make with the position being offered, and whether or not the skills that you have, you can use to later capitalize on the same position that you are applying for. So that is to say really that while it depends, I think you can begin answering the question yourself by doing your due diligence as a professional, as a corporate cowboy. Are you going to tie yourself down to the pay range if that's what you think they're offering? If you believe you bring more to the table than even the duties outlined, that are outlined on the job listing. When you go through the interview process, you want to ask the kinds of questions that will outline where your duties begin and where they end. And if you can, if you have the tenacity, begin exploring in the same interview, begin exploring those positions that are lateral to you, those positions that you will be working. Maybe they fill out those other tasks and duties with skills you might bring, or maybe they don't cover areas with the skills you currently possess. So you could be bringing more to the table than it is even on the job listing. That there is an opportunity for negotiation. I don't know if I explained that sufficiently. But before I get carried away, again, that was just a mental note. If you can catch on to that, by all means. If you want to go back and replay it, do that. But I'm not going to get too carried away. The body on this one is pretty long, so I'll try to read through it without interrupting our hypothetical client's stream of consciousness, if you will, and we'll see where they take us. I mean, I do hope that the longer the body of this message is, the more facts they give us, the more inferences that we can deduce, that we can infer, and then from there, hopefully inform some type of corporate cowboy perspective for them to consider. So they start with, I'm currently working as a manufacturing/process engineer for a medical device startup in Austin, Texas. Okay, so we know they're in the U.S. They're in Texas, Austin, Texas, and they're an engineer, manufacturing/process engineer for medical devices, mind you. So I'm thinking they're either making really good money or really shit money, but because they're asking for a raise and they're debating whether it's too much, I'm thinking maybe they make, shit money right now in exchange for a long-term commitment, or maybe they're one of the starters for it, one of the founders for it, so they get, a piece of the action, some type of profit interest in the company while it's in its startup phase. We don't know. I'll stop interrupting. So they write, I originally interviewed for a senior position, but the offer they made was for a level 1, which I negotiated up to a level 2. I accepted a salary of $85,000 with $10,000 in company stock. Okay. The reasoning they gave was that I had the experience to be a senior level. I didn't have the experience as one. Okay, I see. So they have, well, I guess that's what happens when you don't know how to hustle, right? When you don't know how to negotiate properly. If you have the experience to be a senior level, then you can be a senior level. You don't need to have experience as one. I think having experience as one might make you more preferable, might be more favorable, because you have experience in the very position you are applying for. But if you have the experience that's equivalent, that qualifies you for it, and it could be extra experience, but it is experience that you can nonetheless transfer into this senior level position. It doesn't mean you're not it means you are qualified. So the fact that you weren't able to negotiate your way there, that you weren't able to get your way there, I mean, it's a sign, right? I'm making an inference already, and it's not positive, but it doesn't mean that you are without hope. So I'll continue. As part of the offer letter, they gave milestones that, if reached, would lead to receiving that title. One was to improve the device usability by replacing the system used to set the position of the key feature of the device with one that is more user-friendly. That's the second milestone, was to reduce the overall unit cost by 20%. All right, so they want you to do senior level work, but they're not going to give you the senior level. They want you to do senior level work for the title, but they're not going to give you the title. Okay. It has been about a year and a half since I started, and I will be walking into my performance review tomorrow knowing that I improved the design to where users familiar with the old design are excited and can't wait to use the newer iteration. And not only did I reduce costs by 20%, I beat that number, and the reduction is closer to 28%. While the title is important to me, what is more important is the expected compensation that goes with it. I have done my research and spoken with recruiters to get a good picture of what my value is on the market. The general consensus that I have come to is that my value as a senior engineer falls anywhere between $105,000 to $120,000 total compensation, with one recruiter approaching me with a position that offered $130,000 total compensation. Wow, that's a jump. That's a huge jump. Right now they're getting paid, what is that, 95,000 total compensation. I guess 95 adjusted for whatever their stock price is, because they're getting paid 85K plus the 10 in stock options if they've exercised them already. But they've got 10K in company stock, and that is dependent on where the stock price is present day, right? In today's monies. But they've received offers from recruiters for up to $130,000. That's a jump. It's a huge fucking jump. That's jumping up by almost half. About, what is that, 40, 45%? I've done, I've done my research. No, they've done their research, and that's where they got the recruitment offers. My plan, they continue, my plan is to use the milestones as justification that I have earned the title, and if successful, ask for $120,000 plus an additional $5,000 in shares. My worry is that this figure is too high of a starting point and will make the conversation more difficult. I have no intentions of leaving my position, but that doesn't mean I won't accept a number that is well below what I am worth. I have a bottom figure I won't go below, and a number that I would like to settle at, so long as the difference is made up with an equal or greater amount of equity. That's stock shares in stock. I love my job. They continue. I love my job, and I don't want to leave unless I have to. I love the work I have done and believe in our product. I've been somewhat vague on purpose, as I'm always a little paranoid that they might stumble across this post and know what my strategy is. Okay. Well, I think you're on the right track. You're on the right track as far as negotiating. You do want to put up a high figure. So if you do have to negotiate down, if you're the one who's got to compromise, if you are the one who has to compromise, then they can meet you halfway. You can meet them halfway into something that you feel comfortable in, right? You never know. If you bring those milestones up and you know how to present them persuasively and advocate for yourself, you could get the raise that you're looking for and the title that comes with it. Otherwise, you might have to settle for a small raise and no title, right? So you don't want to leave empty-handed, But at the same time, I get what you're saying. You don't want to gouge their fucking eye out either. You want them to see your value, to see your point, to view this from your perspective, but not gouge their eye out doing so. That's reasonable. That is reasonable. That being said, I think it's important to consider that whenever you're going into a negotiation, especially for a negotiation where you're asking for more, you want to feel justified. You want to, not only do you want to feel, you want to be justified. So you have the feeling of being justified, right? So if you are doubtful, if you are, what's the term I'm looking for? If you are not concerned, I think the term was doubtful. If you are wavering, quibbling, no, what's the term I'm looking for? If you are unsure or uncertain, I guess, that this high figure you're requesting won't appear justified given the milestones that you've achieved and beating out the milestones by a significant margin, by quantifiable margins, not only qualifiable, but quantifiable margins. Like, you've got the metrics, you've got the evidence, you have solid proof that you can do your more above and beyond their expectations. I mean, really, what you have to do is advocate for yourself and hustle. Pretty much exactly what I said, above and beyond expectations. And that shows serious commitment. What you are capable of, what you are willing to do, your creativity, your efficiency, your efficacy. It just shows you're efficacious. They leave a couple of notes here, our hypothetical client. The first is an edit to this original post. They write, I greatly appreciate the feedback I've gotten so far and understand the logic behind why more than 20% doesn't make sense. I made the comments below, but added it here to add more clarification. They miswrote that. I added the comment. You see, I'm trying to revise in real time. I made the comment below, but added it here for clarification. There you go. I am the only manufacturing engineer at our company, and for a period between November and January, I was the only engineer. We have since added an R&D engineer with several years of experience and a product development engineer who is fresh out of college with a master's and only a few years of experience. We will have another engineer starting at the end of the month with limited work experience who just got their doctorate. Before that, it was myself, our product development engineer who left in November, and an undergrad who left to pursue their master's. The improvements that I have made have also led to significant interest from the two largest companies in our sector, as well as key selling point to investors that led to a multi-million-dollar raise. What the fuck? The improvements that I have made also led to significant interest from the two largest companies in our sector, as well as being a key selling point to investors that led to a multi-million-dollar raise. Okay, so they're still in the startup phase. I don't know what's the term I'm looking for? What series they're in, right? Series A through Z, right? We don't know what round of funding they're in. So being a startup, this is good. This is a good sign. So off of the back of this project that they undertook, they're getting more funding for the company, right? From designing it to be more user-friendly and cutting down the cost of the design. I mean, that's a difficult task to tackle. But our hypothetical client here knocked it out the park, apparently, because their market research, whatever market research they've conducted, right? I mean, those are questions that we would ask also. Whatever market research they have conducted, in conjunction with the cost reductions, have been extraordinarily positive. Now, to me, that tells me that they need a consult. They need a consult in order to present this fairly, but also persuasively. Like, you don't want to go in exaggerating and say that the company wouldn't be where it is without you, right? Even though your work was you claim, the hypothetical client claims that their work was the key to obtaining the funding. I mean, that's not something you want to throw in the company's face without first smoothing them over. You want to think like a corporate cowboy. You want to be professional. You want to be the most reasonable, so that when you ask for this 20%, this 40% raise, it's because you see a future in the company. And what you are selling to the company is a future together. I mean, you were one of the first on board from what we're reading here. You want to stick around long term. You want to see this thing through as much as possible. But for that commitment, there's got to be some sort of mutuality to it. There's got to be a consideration on their part. And that is to pay you more money. That is to give you more equity. Why? Doing so would increase the stake that you have in your work with the company. And when you have an increased stake in the work that you do, you gain commitment, dedication, focus and drive, motivation to be better. The next round of funding may or may not be easier to secure, but now you know what the objectives are. You have the milestones clear cut. And from there, it's just about stacking them up. It's just about multiplying and expanding on the success you've already attained. So you've knocked those milestones out the park. And that takes me back to the agreement you had with management about achieving these milestones and then getting that title. Is that conversation in writing? You see? It comes back to covering your ass. I mean, they covered theirs. If it's just an oral agreement, it's an oral promise. Good luck proving that. Good luck. I mean, you've already got your foot in the door. You work for the company. But I think a significant step towards facilitating this conversation for a promotion and title and an increase in compensation would be something in writing. Because that shows that both you and the company were planning this all along. We're planning to have you be promoted. We're planning for the company's success. You were planning together. And I think that that would have been just chef's kiss, another foothold for you to present a very persuasive, a very persuasive rationale for giving you that title and whatever compensation it is that you're asking for. But again, that's higher level strategy. And some clients do come to us for that. Bear in mind, keep in mind, though, that clients who come to us want to keep their particular situations confidential. And I recognize the OPSEC, the operational security that this hypothetical client is also employing by being direct but being vague, right? They want to provide as much detail as possible without divulging any confidential or personally identifiable information, right? Any personally identifying information to be identified. Yeah. Personally identifying information. But that can be done. I mean, you come to us, we are your consultant. And your situation remains your situation. You just are purchasing. And by purchase, it's going to be by purchase I mean the what's the term I'm looking for? I mean the conventional meaning of purchase, and that is to obtain with some effort, because it'll be a mutual effort. Yeah, we might be a consultant, but we're still going to ask you the questions. We're going to ask you the tough questions to answer for yourself. I mean, what you want is added perspective. So what you pay for is added perspective. We can't attach strings to you like Bernie's Weekend at Bernie's. I don't know why I was thinking another movie, but Weekend at Bernie's. Walk you around like Pinocchio and puppeteer your mouth and have you say things, right? But we can help you prepare to advocate for yourself, to promote yourself. After all, it's going to be you who acts on whatever strategy, on whatever plan that you create. I mean, you've got your fate in your own hands. We just give you perspective. What would a corporate cowboy do? Corporate cowboy might entertain one of these recruitment offers and really confirm, get some confirmation that 130 is realistic, is possible. I mean, maybe you do want to vet where that $130,000 offer is coming from. I mean, maybe that company is better than the one that you're at now. And by better, I mean offering different professional opportunities, a chance for you to develop your skill set in a manner that you want, in a manner that you desire. But if where you want to stay is the company that you are at now, you see something, even though it's a startup, you see it going somewhere. You see it growing and you helping it grow. You being a key part, a team player within this company. I mean, that's something that you want to let the management know about, to hear you out, your perspective, your professional input. It matters. But you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to prime your managers to really listen to you. And that takes a little higher level strategizing, a little higher level thinking that we don't have time for in 30 minutes. So, in that case, a 1-to-1 is in order. But I'll leave y'all right there. Have yourselves a good one. Reach out to us if you feel the need. Write to us even. I mean, it's going to take a little longer, some snail mail. You can send donations and send gifts that way too. It's P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California, 95741. Take care of yourselves.